it's Sal. Welcome to our March, can we believe it's March already? 2022, doing our monthly tarot seminar. I am so excited to have you with me today. This is my favourite time of the month because I get to connect with you guys and I get to share some additional tips that I can work with you before I release another course, so you don't have to do another whole course. Not that there's anything wrong with doing courses, but sometimes it's nice just to get little snippets. So for those who haven't joined me before, if you're here live, can you just pop your name in the comment box just so that I know that you're here and where you're from, just so that I can make sure that I can read any questions that you've got along the way. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to share a little bit about how these work if you haven't seen one of these before. So what I'm going to do is go through some topics that I have been basically seen throughout this group and also in your Q&A board on Udemy throughout the month. And they're just topics that I think are probably the most interesting or the most frequently asked or that I haven't maybe dealt with too much before that I can help you guys with as well. So I'm going to start with that. I'm also then going to I'm going to answer any questions that you've got. So if you've got any questions about the tarot, so not tarot, like not, Sal, am I going to get a job? Like this isn't a channel like where I'm giving you psychic answers. It's if you have a question about your beautiful tarot journey, anything you're stuck in, anything you want to share, any of your experiences, that's what we're here for, to share those together. And I find part of what makes this community so great, whether you're watching me on YouTube and you're not always in the Facebook group or you're not in the Facebook group, or whether you are in the Facebook group, is that what we learn and how we share and grow together is just so powerful, because studying online can be a bit lonely. So this is a great chance for you to get yourself out there and ask a question or share your experiences with the group. Marcy, thank you, from upstate New York. Thank you, Shantae from Charleston in South Carolina. I've always wanted to go there. I read too much historical fiction, I think. But welcome, guys. It's so lovely to have you here. So hi, Nicole. And again, if you've got questions and you go, hey, why isn't she answering my questions? It might be because I'm going to answer them at the end. Or alternatively, it could be that I'm not live anymore. So if you're watching this as a replay, which means you've been clicked through to a YouTube channel, you can still comment there and I will get back to you. It might just take a bit longer. And also, if you are watching this as the replay, then do hit the subscribe button, because then you'll always get these monthly seminars and you'll also get access to all of my back catalogues, where you can go into the description and literally scroll down and go, oh, okay, there's 5 topics that Sal's dealing with today. I'm not really interested in I won't watch that one, but maybe the one from 3 months ago might have something that you also would really love to know more about. So welcome everybody, it's so good to have you here. Before I get started, I just want to, hello Megan from Sydney, I hope you're not too wet, my darling. I'm going to talk about our floods in a minute. For those of you who don't know, Australia's just had biblical proportional floods. My own mother's been evacuated, friends of mine have lost their homes, thousands and thousands of people are homeless. It's been incredibly traumatic for our country and for many, many people. I'm going to speak to that actually closer to the end, and just some things that we can think about and pray for and heal together. So yes, hope you're okay, Megan. I hope you're not in any of those regions that has been seriously damaged by the flooding this week. So this is what before I start, I'll let you know what we're going to talk about. So today we're going to talk about multiple choice questions, different ways to do them, and yes/no questions, and what should be avoided. Megan, you're drying out. Awesome. That doesn't sound like there's too much damage. That's good. I'm also going to talk about things that you should avoid doing with yes/no and multiple choice, and the best way to get really good readings from them. I'm also going to talk about the best tips that you can use when you are doing daily readings, just so that you don't get too confused. I'm going to talk about, can the tarot make people do things? And I've had a really great question on that this month, and I want to explore that a bit more, because this might be something you've thought about too as well. Which cards reveal that my client has been cheated on? So I'm going to talk about infidelity readings. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about, do you need spirit guides to work with spirit guides and angels when you are doing tarot reading? So, I'm going to explore that topic for you. So before I get into those topics, and I said, if you've got questions for me, pop them in. I will get to them at the end of the seminar. So before I get started, I would just like to say a very heartfelt thank you to the following people who have taken the time in the last month to post reviews on the Udemy board. Thank you so much for that. It makes such a huge difference to me being able to continue to create this content for you, to being able to run the group, to being able to make more courses, and it also obviously really helps students who are thinking, oh my goodness, there's like 20 tarot things on Udemy, which one do I choose? So thank you for those of you who have taken the time to write some comments. It really helps a lot. So Linda Malka, Anne Smith, Amy Vennick, Anrit Dingra, and Daniel Sullivan, and everyone else who's taken that time to just post a few comments to say what they liked about the course. Thank you so much. So let's get started by talking about this quite controversial issue, and remember, different teachers might say different things about it than I will say, and don't get worried or anxious about that. You know, we're all different and we all do different readings, and you know, you don't have to worry. Like, if you found a teacher who's taught you a way to do yes and no that you think is better, then please go with that. This stuff is often very what I call subjective and experimental. Some of my strategies will work amazingly for you and you'll get amazing readings from them. Sometimes you might find another reader on some other way who you think, no, actually I like how they do it better. So no right or wrong, just what works. Try everything, I say, and then see which one is going to work for you. So Larissa asks about can you use multiple choice option cards for yes and no? So rather than just pulling a card that says yes and pull a card and then no, can you do like a yes and a no and a maybe and see which is the highest card and which one wins? Or Now the thing with the yes and no cards, and I will admit they can be incredibly confusing. For the first reason is if you're going for the highest card wins, and I get this question a lot, then sometimes you might get 2 sixes, like a 6 of pentacles and a 6 of wands. So if that happens to you, then like say it's a job, for example, then always go with what you want more. So a 6 of wands would be, this is going to be a leadership position, you've got to be moving quite far in your career, whereas the 6 of pentacles might be more like you are going to be having a stable income, you know, like, so it's going to be regular stable income, might be not as much career growth. And again, that you know, everyone's different. If you've got a young family at home and you're not really into working 95 hours a week, then the 6 of pentacles might be better because you're just bringing in stable income. There's no right or wrong with that. But people do get confused. They're like, oh, how do I know which is which one? Now, if you get a card that is similar to another, like say 2 threes, but it's the 3 of cups, which is very positive, and the 3 of swords, which is quite negative, then obviously go with the positive one. And if you still get one and you're not confused, then pull another card. So pull another card and keep rating the highest. And if you get 2 that are neutral or 2 that are similar and you still don't know, then go with what seems the most positive. So I hope that makes sense. So you can start with the higher up and then go into the most positive, or you can just do what is the most positive. Now, I will say one thing, hi Liz, I will say one thing about yes/no cards and multiple choice cards. I deal with this really extensively in the How to Give Career Readings and Life Purpose Readings course, which is one of the courses that follows this course where you go into more advanced readings. And I would very, very strongly recommend it. If you are only enrolled in this course and you're only at this beginner level, then if you're going to be doing these yes/no questions and multiple choice questions, please stick to really basic subjects like, you know, should I book a restaurant this weekend? Or, you know, that kind of thing. Things that are not going to ruin your life, like, should I buy this house? Or should I marry this man, you know, and accept his marriage proposal? Like, don't use one card to decide your whole entire life on, because as I talk about in that course, in the career reading course, and also in the more advanced love course, that our lives are such roller coasters, and sometimes things can go really bad at first and then become really good. I know in my own career as a reader, I have had times where I've looked at my life and gone, what am I doing? I don't have any clients, and I'm broke, and maybe I should go back to teaching and being in high schools, and so that's been a bad time. But then I've had times where I've been on top of the world and been booked 3 weeks in advance. So again, there's to just put that down to one card is never really going to properly answer your question for bigger, significant questions. I would always, if you're considering an option and you don't know yes, no, then what do I need to know about doing this, and do a 7-card spread. Like, unless, or if it's only something you're going to be doing in the next couple of months, then, you know, do a 3-card spread. But I wouldn't put my whole life on just one card. And I'll also say something else about that, you know, and I know can get confusing. The court cards can get very confusing with people with these yes/no answers as well, because in the majority of the case, court card would be a positive, but the Knight of Swords can be a little bit negative because the Knight can be rushing in and not thinking. And the pages can also represent at times, depending on what the reading is, that you're being a little bit immature and you're not thinking things through, or a little bit childlike. So again, because some of these court cards have multiple interpretations, you could trip yourself up a bit and make yourself more confused. So I would much strongly advise, if you want to do yes, no, and multiple choice, then do try to study a bit higher so you get a bigger grasp of how they work and in what experiences and situations with clients that they are suitable and how they do work. And also, like, you know, if it's really serious life stuff, then maybe think about doing a 7-card spread instead, so you can get the full picture and make a decision based on the full picture, because sometimes it might start off bad and then go good, or it might start off good and then go bad, and you'll get a much bigger overview of the tapestry, so to speak. So I hope that's helped if you're thinking about yes, no questions. The other thing I will say, which is a common, I guess, error that happens when you're learning the tarot, is please don't use tarot for questions like, will I do this? You know, like, will I go to university? Because that's your free will, and you're asking the tarot to fortune tell something for you. And really, the tarot is designed to help you change and improve your life and see when you're going wrong and how to get back on the right path according to your destiny, or according to what your dreams and desires are. But if you're saying to the tarot, will I do this? Say, for example, you're like, will I go to university? And you pull one card and it's like the 3 of Swords, which says, nah, you're going to be disappointed. That's like your whole life. You're going to give up on that beautiful dream because one card said, no, you're not going to do that. And there can be things that go wrong when we do readings. You might have bad energy on the day. You might be stressed and tired or overwhelmed. It might be that, yes, you're disappointed and it might take 5 years to go, but not right now. So that's why I'm not a fan of will I questions. Rather, what do I need to know if I take this option? Like, give yourself the power and give your clients the power to make decisions to change their lives and to use the guidance and wisdom of the tarot to do that, rather than just rely on it for a fortune telling tool that may actually make your life worse, especially if you get codependent on it. Yes, Carolyn, I love this advice. Tarot is a tool to empower ourselves. It's not a tool that's going to make, you know, basically tell us we're going to have the worst life possible and we should give up, which could happen if you got some of those negative cards, especially in marriage. Will I ever get married? And you get a very obvious, like, no card. Like, that would I know that would depress me, especially if I was like 20 years old. So yeah, I do explore that in much greater detail about how to get more accuracy and how to get better readings when you're looking for more of those. How is my life going to go, and how can I empower myself to get the life I desire? So you will go into the later courses with those more advanced ones. Megan, you're doing the career course now. It's great. Thank you. Look, that was my most recent course, and it came from realizing just we put all our faith in readings about careers, but tarot cards have, you know, evolved so much, and we've evolved so much. So there is no tarot card that says you're going to go and work on Instagram, for example. And also, life purpose readings can be so deeply connected to other things. And so, yeah, I created that so that we get all those complexities, and also so we understand that sometimes bad things happen in our career so that good things can happen in our career. And that, you know, that kind of helps with experience and understanding and just digging deeper and looking at the whole picture. Oh, is someone having problems with the signal? That might be my signal, my dodgy Australian internet. Carolyn, are you the only one? Is anyone else having problems with it? No, it's happening to you as well. Okay, I'm sorry, that might be me. I'm going to type something and see if you guys get that. Can you hear me? There we go. Let's see if someone responds to that. Sorry if my signal's still going, which indicates it's still working. No? Yep. Shantae's saying she's fine. If you're having a problem, just refresh it. That often helps. If you go up and just refresh it, it might come back and do it. Because it might be, but it is weird that it's happening to a few of you, but not others. I don't know why that is. Yes, Joan said she can hear me. So it is working for some but not others. So maybe those who can't hear me, just refresh. Hit refresh. Thank you. Thank you. It's just stopping sometimes and you can't figure out what I'm saying. Oh, okay, you can figure out what I'm saying. Cool, thank you. Apologies for that. Australian internet is not good. Blame one of our former Prime Ministers. I won't mention his name. No, don't blame him, but he decided we didn't need to have NBN, and that's made us behind about 30 years in internet. So, I hope that's helped those of you who are confused about yes-no readings, multiple choice. Keep them light, keep them playful. Try not to, rely on them too much for really life-changing decisions. And if you get stuck, if you get stuck, make sure that you're going, okay, well, I don't know if that's yes or no or neutral, then just pick another card, basically, or clear it. I hope that's helped everybody. Now, let's talk about, we're going to move on to daily card readings. So, it's skipping every now and then. Thank you guys for your patience. I don't know, it might be because we've had such bad weather too. I shouldn't just blame the dodgy internet. It might actually be because we've had storms and floods and whole entire towns wiped out like a biblical scene. So that could be it too. So I'm going to move on now to talk about your daily spreads as a tool to learn the tarot, but also as a tool to, help your own spiritual guidance. Now, people often get confused because they might pull a card every day and it might be a bad card. Then they freak out and they go, I'm going to have a bad day. And, they'll get that churny fight or flight feeling and they don't want to learn the tarot. It's so negative. Can I just say, the point of the daily card exercises for me is just to pull one card and say, what do I need to know about today? Now, even if it's a negative card, every single negative card will contain a positive lesson. The death card says, hey, it might be time to move on from something. Stop fighting and resisting this. Something is waiting for you at the other side that's much, much better. If you keep clinging to something that's not working, it's probably just going to make you more miserable. Like, that's all. Like, it doesn't mean that the world's going to end and there's even going to be a death, or you're going to have a bad day. It just means, hey, the power's back in your court to now let go of something that's not working, and that's okay. And with any of those cards that seem a bit dark, so don't worry if you're pulling a daily card and it's a negative one. It's just telling you, hey, you might encounter this lesson today. This is how you're going to master it. And if you do it like that, then you'll master the tarot in no time. And I do suggest, please journal with this. Like, I know how lazy we can all get, myself included, when it comes to daily kind of exercises. But even if you get to the end of the day for 2 minutes and just, even if you've got your phone and you're sitting on the bus or you're waiting for someone, rather than scrolling through Facebook, just jump on your notes. If your iPhone or your Android, it's got a little note thing. I use Evernote, which is free, but you can use something and just type, okay, today I got the death card. How did that play out in my life? And, put it down for a couple of minutes, how it happened, and reflect on it. And you will really learn to master the tarot so much quickly. Hello, Lakshmi. I love your name. So I hope that's helped with the daily card. So someone did ask me, I think it was Yukta, she asked me, she said, should I pull one card or 3 cards? I would say just pull one card, personally. If you pull 3 cards, you're going to get too overwhelmed. That's too much of a roller coaster just to sum up one day. Unless, something really specific's happening, like, what do I need to know about the job interview I'm going for today? Then you could put 3 cards. But if it's just, what do I need to know today? I would just pull 1. Otherwise, you're going to spend the whole day trying to remember the 3 cards and getting them all mixed up. I would stick to making it simple. Now, Yukta asked a really interesting question today. So she said she had someone who was living with their co-sister or their sister or their sister-in-law, I think it was, and didn't want to be living with them anymore. And the client had asked, how can I get my sister-in-law out of the house? How do I get her out? How can the tarot tell me how to get her out of the house? Now, I understand why we think the tarot has that much power that it can do, but it actually can't. It's not black magic. It's not anything that can force anyone to do anything against their will. It really can't. And I have to say to all of you, I did see recently that someone had posted a thing where they had actually misled someone for their own agenda in a reading. And can I please just say, ethically, don't do that. Like, please don't use the tarot to force situations that may be against the best and highest good of someone else's destiny, or interfere with their free will. Like, the best way that client can deal with their sister or co-sister or whatever it is to just say, what do I need to know about my sister leaving? Or what do I need to know? Like, what can I do to make this happen? Not how can I use the tarot to get her out? Because that is kind of, again, that's kind of getting a little bit iffy in the dark magic and the, bad woo-woo. And the thing with dark magic, you might think, well, I don't care, I'm suffering so much. It always comes back to bite you on the bottom. Like, what you send out there comes back. And I have seen this again and again and again. So please find a way to use the tarot to heal yourself. And I said, this woman might need to just go and get a healing on family obligation and being powerless to have someone living in her space that she doesn't like. And if she shifts that, then the sister might move out and she doesn't have to deal with it. But using the tarot like a black magic tool to woo-woo and seance people out the way, for me, is not a great idea, and it will inevitably probably lead to some pretty dark energy being around you. So that is definitely not something I would do, personally. Hello, Nabella. Thank you. I've made your life easier. Thank you. So I hope that's helped anyone who's been asked by a client before about, how can the tarot do this for me? It's like, no, it can't. It can only tell you how to heal. It can tell you it can give you indications of what's going to happen and maybe how long it might take to resolve, but it will usually inevitably guide you to go and fix that stuff up and do some internal work so that you can shift that unfortunate situation out of your life. Or it might even say, hey, you got to have some boundaries. You're going to have to just stand up and say no. That there are cards that do that, that are like the Seven of Wands, for example, is a stand your ground. You're just going to have to speak your truth and stand your ground, basically. Or the Ten of Wands, which would say you've got to ask for help for this. So maybe ask your husband or ask someone else to help you with this. So again, the cards can tell you how to improve the situation, but they can't force someone else to change their life. I hope that has helped. So, Harima asks a very wonderful question. Do I need spirit guides, or can I just rely on my intuition when I'm using tarot cards? No, you absolutely don't need 100% need to have working with spirit guides or angels. So I teach that in How to Be Psychic Development for Beginners, and I teach that in Psychic Readings Intermediate Level, how to connect with your guides, your spirit guides, gods and goddesses, ascended masters, angels. Even if you are not Christian-based religion, like, you can talk to guides, you can talk to angels, you can talk to your own ascended masters and gods and goddesses, but you don't have to 100%. I just think of it, for me, as a little bit like going to the petrol station and putting the most expensive petrol in your car. Like, you probably get more information generally, but some people already are just so tuned into their intuition or the cards that they don't need to connect with higher forces to get information. So yeah, if you're already working on your intuition, and you're already, and again, I teach that in those courses as well, but if you're not comfortable connecting with spirit guides, or you don't feel like you've got the confidence to do that, it doesn't mean you're never going to be a great reader. I know lots and lots of fantastic tarot readers who don't connect with angels, or they don't connect with gods and goddesses or spiritual guides. That's just an extra kind of tool in your toolbox. So I hope that has helped, Prima. So yes, you can rely on your intuition, and you can even just rely on the cards. However, again, I will just add, it is a bit harder. You've got to practice a lot more and get really super confident at the cards, and probably study a lot more as well. So, Nita, which cards tell me that my client has been cheated on? Now, this is a very, very controversial subject as well, and I have spoken about it in some length. The first thing I would say, and again, feel free to discard my advice. This is just my advice. Hello, Gian. As a beginner, at a beginning level, I would not be engaging in infidelity readings. Keep in mind that you could ruin someone's family if you get it wrong, or even if you get it right, and then I have a weird thing about this where I kind of feel like if you're a reader and you're a bit nervous and you and you go, oh, that card came up, Sal said that's an infidelity card. Yes, yes, your husband's cheating on you. And that woman goes home and yells and screams at her husband, and then he storms off and says, you don't trust me, and, you know, and then they have a massive, messy divorce and everyone gets involved. And like, that is a huge, epic result. And look, part of the reason I created the love readings course is because I have a whole massive section that goes for at least over an hour with whole lots of samples about when you can see there could be cheating or infidelity and how to manage it. Like it's a really important thing. It's not something a beginner level should be managing, because this is one of the most serious topics you'll ever deal with. And you might think, well, you know, it's not going to have that much consequences, but you are dealing with people's lives, not only that person and their husband and the child and the children and their in-laws and brothers and sisters and everyone who's involved in a marriage, like when it breaks down. But if you're not really experienced at reading the nuances of how sometimes it could be a flirtation, sometimes it might be just that their work is their mistress, which can happen. Sometimes it could be that they're just, you know, flirting in their mind, but nothing's happened, you know. So it's hard to tell from that unless you've got more experience. And again, I'm not saying you have to go and buy my love readings course just so you can do infidelity readings, but I will let you know that it will help you a lot when this question comes your way. You'll learn which cards can indicate there is a potential problem. But again, I will tell you, for me, I would never come out straight away and said 100% that yes, there is all this infidelity going on. Like, I would need a lot of confirmation from my guides as well as just the cards. So that's my personal thing. Others might feel differently. So that's because, as I said, infidelity is so complex. Like the difference between a flirtation and jumping into bed with someone, the difference between a 10-year affair and kissing someone drunk one night after work. Like the cards don't always show those nuances. So just be aware of that. But yes, so as I said, just be cautious if you are a beginner. Now, and you might say, oh, but Sal, people are contacting me and they want that question answered. Then say to them, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable answering that. I'm a beginner. That's not really my skill level. You know, and have that boundary. Like, and keep that in mind as a reader. Part of the journey of being a reader is loving and accepting yourself enough to say no to some readings. And I love that. Like, I think it's a real spiritual journey in itself to learn to have boundaries and say, I'm just not comfortable doing that. I'm sorry, I'm not. And, you know, and if someone wants to storm out on you or they get hostile or they demand their money back, that's fine. It's better they do that than and temporarily judge you than you do a reading that either A, potentially ruins someone's life, or B, you end up feeling just so awful from and doubting yourself. So I'd add that too. Now, if anyone has any questions, please pop them in now. And I'm actually just going to talk a little bit about some of the wonderful progress of this group and just how in awe I am of you guys this year. Thank you so much. As some of you may know, last year we were having some troubles and some problems with people returning their feedback, and we were having troubles with people offering free readings in exchange for reviews on Facebook. And so I did have to scrap that second thing. I had to scrap the free readings in exchange for reviews and social media likes. I created a new resource for you guys, a 1-hour masterclass. I'm pleased to say that 77 people have watched it in the group, so thank you. If you haven't watched this masterclass yet, can I please plead with you that if you want to start getting reviews on Facebook that are 5-star reviews, and you want to be in Facebook groups and you want to find creative ways to use it that A, aren't against the rules in my group, or you're doing it in other groups and you want to protect yourself from people kind of ripping you off or not getting back to you, please watch this masterclass, because I do give you everything that I have learned in the past, and I'm going back however many years now, it's 11, 12 years that I have learned about getting great 5-star reviews and testimonials and how to do it and why it's confusing. And I really recognize this masterclass goes for an hour, and I've seen a few people have started watching it and stopped. I don't know, because of time that happens. But it's really important to understand the complexity of why people don't return readings. And if you understand that first, then you will know how to create posts that will only attract people that will return your feedback and your reviews and will give you what you're looking for, so that you're not wasting your time. Because the most heartbreaking thing for me is when I hear stories from people in this group who have put their heart and soul into a reading and then been ghosted and never heard of again. And as I've mentioned, I have a system for that. Like, if after 14 days someone has not returned your private feedback, not a Facebook review, but private feedback, that they agreed to do, then send them a reminder. And once you've sent the reminder, if they haven't got back to you, reach out to my assistant at team@saljade.com, and we will tag them in the group at the end of the month. That's kind of the system of, and weirdly enough, in 90% of the time that they get tagged, that person will get the feedback. It doesn't happen very often that we have to tag someone, but if that does happen, do reach out to me. So, before I go, so if anyone's got any questions, please pop them in. But before I go, I would like to just take a moment to share something I was a little bit inspired by this week. It's been an incredibly traumatic week 2 weeks really, for most of the world since the 222 date. Since we all thought the 22nd of the 2nd, 02, 22, whatever was going to be fantastic, but it really has fired up the world with the invasion of Ukraine. And obviously, as I spoke before, those of you who don't know, Australia has just, like my old home city that I lived in and went to uni in, is just totally underwater, with 10,000 people now homeless, and biblicals like, 15-metre floods, and people stuck on their roofs for days and days and days, elderly people and young people with babies getting helicoptered off the roof for days. And it's been just like a scenes remnant of Hurricane Katrina, for those of you who still remember what that looked like. Really traumatic. But can I just say something that has come out of this that has been good? And it's the same with the absolute tragic war in Ukraine right now, is that we're seeing that on one hand, we have had the last few years of so much divisiveness over politics in social media, over COVID and vaccines, and we have just literally as humans pulled each other apart in the most unkind ways. And what has been fascinating for me to see, I'm calling it the beautiful, this is from the Psychic Tarot. I use this deck a lot in my intermediate level courses, as you go higher into the love, of course, and the career course. But the peace after the storm, this is the Star card in the tarot, and I love the depiction of it. It is that moment where we have hope. And what I feel like the last few weeks has given us is that reminder of hope. I was listening to the mayor of a town called Murwillumbah, which is very close to where I grew up, speak yesterday, and she said, our community has been completely torn apart by COVID, by vaccine mandates and by politics, and now this week we've all come back together to help each other. And there's been heroic stories of people hiking up through landslides to rescue people, and the community, it took so long for our army and our SES because of the horrible weather conditions to save people, that the community were just forced to get in there and help and save and rescue people. And we had what was called the tinny army, so people in their little tin boats getting out and just saving hundreds of lives of people stuck on roofs because it was such a colossal flood. And so I just want to say, as I said, this is something I would usually more likely to do in How to Be Psychic, because we do more healing in that group. But I really wanted to say, for the next month, as we go through what's going in the Ukraine or whatever's going on in your beautiful country, please try to choose peace rather than the fear or anger. Just try to sort of pull back and focus on when humans are doing good things, because please trust me, a lot of humans are doing a lot of good things, even in all this horrible chaos and strife and natural disasters and climate change, strangling us. There's a lot of humans doing a lot of really good stuff out there, and please focus on that. I'm such a huge believer that the more we focus on that, the bigger that expands our vision, because I know I've had an extreme week of 2 weeks of trauma and not being able to sleep and thinking about my mother getting evacuated and my friends losing their homes and working in evacuation centres, and I knew I had to come back and just go, okay, center myself. Focus on the good stories, stop being angry at the politicians, stop being angry at climate change, or, and just go back into finding the love and finding the good stuff, and that's helped me. So I hope that's helped any of you who are watching the news or in seeing things going on and feeling a little bit overwhelmed and traumatized. And please don't judge yourself for feeling overwhelmed and traumatized. As I said, I've been doing this stuff a long time and I get overwhelmed and traumatized. Just try to, when you can, choose love and peace over the fear and the anger and the frustration. You're not always going to be able to do it, and trust me on that. Sometimes you'll go, nope, can't do that. I just want to vent and I want to be angry, and that's okay. That's part of being human. We grow that way. And that's why I love the tarot, because for me, the tarot acknowledges that we all have this dark side. We're not perfect human beings. And we try to do the best we can, and love and light and master lessons is the way to accomplish the highest good. But sometimes we're human. So I hope that has helped. Lakshmi, raise our collective vibration. Yes, Diani, love the tinny army. I know. So friends of one of my bridesmaids was in that tinny army, waking up at 5 in the morning when the floodwaters had gone from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. and it just completely inundated people's houses. Like the whole CBD of where I grew up and lived for 5 years was just underwater. Like all the shops, Target, everything, all just gone and wiped out. And we had these people, men and women in their little tinnies getting out, just help, calling out who needs help. And, that's the human side of us. Nicole, thank you for addressing conflict and caring for the world. Thank you, Nicole. Yes, like I said, I don't usually do it as much because I know things can get very political. I try to avoid that, but I just wanted to say I felt heartened by seeing at least some good of watching humans band together in our love and our capacity to care for each other. That's our redemption. And if we can focus on that, I think we'll get through what feels like a very different and challenging time. Carolyn, I like this question. I tend to always take a bit of the meaning of the confirmation card in and I'm not sure if it's okay. Oh, sorry, did I miss a question? Eek. Let me go back. Oh, Alison. Is that Alison's question, Carolyn? Can you just let me know? Alison, I'm taking my first class and I'm a bit confused about pulling confirmation cards after court cards. After I pull the card to determine if it's a person or a situation, do I read that card or not? No. So great. Sorry, I think I've got to go back and do that lecture because probably about 70% of the people catch that, but sometimes people miss it. So no, you don't interpret the second card. The second card is just pure confirmation, person, situation. And also keep in mind, sometimes it's going to be incredibly obvious to you that it is a person, or it's going to be incredible. Like if someone's asking about having a baby and they pull a page, you're probably going to think, well, a page means a child, so yes, it's a child. But that system's only for if you're looking at the whole reading and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what that chord means. What does that chord mean? Then use that system. So if your intuition isn't just kind of telling you, like sometimes you just kind of intuitively know what it is without having to pull it. And sometimes pulling it can complicate it for you. And I've seen people do that before. I've seen people kind of trip themselves up because intuitively they're like, oh, I actually really thought, I feel like it's a person, but I'm not sure. I'm just going to pull some additional cards. And then they pull them and then they trip it up and then they doubt themselves. So yeah, only do it if you're really doubtful about what that means in that position. And if it's not obvious, like sometimes, like for example, in the environmental position, a court card will always usually be a person because the environment is about the people that are around you. So it'll usually be in that position. In a U position, like in the Celtic cross and in the horseshoe, in the U position, it will most likely 90% of the time be like something you are feeling. So you're feeling like a Queen of Wands, or you're feeling like a Page of Cups, like you're feeling like you're new at something. So it'll often depend on that position. So sometimes you won't need to draw the additional cards. I hope that makes sense. Yes, so the third card is if, now and again, sometimes it will be obvious. Sometimes you'll be like, okay, I don't need to pull a third card. But yeah, if you're not sure if it's a person, and you're going, is this person going to help or hinder? Are they going to enhance or block? Then you pull that third card and then you see. Now, sometimes you might get a neutral card. You might get a card that's like, oh, or another court card. So just, what I do then is go with your intuition. Just look at the card, touch the card, feel the card, look at the images. Are they positive? Are they negative? How does it feel? How does that card fit in with the rest of the reading? And then make that decision, so... and again, sometimes people aren't necessarily a positive or a negative. They're just in our lives, and they can be positive and negative. I know I've got plenty of exes that have been positive and negative. So again, so that if you get a neutral card, it might be just that's a balance thing. I hope that helps, Alison. And well done for asking that question. Please don't worry if you're confused. Everybody gets confused by the court cards. They are very muddling. I tend to always take a bit of the meaning in. Look, Carolyn, I'll be very, very honest with you. If you pull that 3 cards and that second card feels intuitively, now trust that, remember this is what I'm saying, where people hate hearing that when they're learning, and I hated hearing it when I was learning, but sometimes it really is up to the reader. And I've developed my own systems that are completely different to other readers through my own intuitive process of kind of going, oh, that feels like, oh, and oh, I'm nailing that with that one, and oh, I just pull that, and you will too, the more you kind of progress in your journey. If you intuitively pull that second card and feels like it's adding something, then please do interpret it. Rule of thumb for me is I don't. But if it's really adding something and you're intuitively zinging about it, then yes, definitely interpret it. I hope that helps. I have a recommended relationship spread. It is in my love readings course, so it's probably a bit complicated for me to explain it all now. So yeah, I do that, and I do lots of samples in my relationship thing. But to be very honest with you, and a lot of different readers will give you thousands of answers on this and show you lots of different relationship spreads. Me and the majority of readers I know that I've worked with, most of the time I do my relationship spreads with the horseshoe and the Celtic cross, and I say, what is the future of this relationship, or what do we need to know about improving this relationship? I sometimes see all these complex relationship spreads, and what you've got to remember is the more complex the spread, the more you've got to make sure that one of those cards is going to match that position. And I often see cards that, like I see, these 20 spread cards, and I get like a headache. I go, oh, who's going to remember all of that? Especially if you're a beginner. So I have one, what I call an extended, more advanced relationship spread in my love readings course. So you can go and check that out in there, that I do. But other than that, the majority of the time I do a journey spread. It's like a 5-card spread, which is just a long-term past, recent past, what's going on now, coming up, and then long-term future. So they're the 2 I do besides besides the horseshoe and the Celtic cross. So I hope that's helped. So you can start with that one. You can start with that 5-card spread I won. Or if you want to go deeper into the more advanced ones that I do, just go and check out the love readings course, because I have that in there, and I have lots of samples on how to do it as well. Carolyn, what about a court card, a queen in the future, on a question that was about me? Could that be a personality trait? Yes, I would definitely say. Yeah, look, the good news, the interesting thing about courts, and this is where you can't really get it too wrong when you're talking about the personality. If you get tripped up on this and you're thinking, does that mean I'm going to become the Queen of Wands? Do I need to be more like the Queen of Wands? For me, it's both. Like, the energy of the Queen of Wands is around you. And the lessons of the Queen of Wands are predominantly, you need to take action. Be a leader, be in that fiery passion. Try not to kind of emasculate people or walk all over them, or, do the my way or the highway thing too much. But if you really want to get what you want out of life, you're going to have to be a fiery queen. And that's how I kind of see it. Now, if it's a long-term future, it might show, yes, success. Like, you are going to be a fiery queen. If you wanted to know, well, am I going to pull that off? You could pull an additional card and see if it's positive or negative. If it's negative, you might just have to keep pulling until the time frame gets it to a positive. So that's how I do time frame readings sometimes. I just keep pulling until I get a positive. Okay, that's going to take longer than I thought. But yeah, I would try that way. You're welcome, Carolyn. Night, Nicole. Thank you. Thanks, Alison. Now, is anyone else to ask me a question? If you have, pop it in now. Okay. I think I've answered. Hi, Claire. Thank you, Megan. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for showing up. I hope you've learned something valuable in our seminar. And as I said, look, I'm going to pop that link if you haven't gone and watched the review. If you haven't got the reviews mastercard, I'll pop it in here too as well if you're really interested in going and seeing what's that masterclass. If you're trying to get 5-star reviews on Facebook, or if you are trying to get more subscriptions and social media likes. So in this masterclass, it's just a few of the tips that I take from my advanced tarot and psychic business training program that's on the Psychic Healing Academy. So that's a massive program, like 50 hours of modules on how to succeed in an online tarot business. It's kind of everything from branding and productivity and how to get yourself out there, how to get work, how to establish a long-term business, all of how to do online readings. There's so much sort of in that whole program, how to read tarot at a more advanced level with symbolism and mythology. But in that, so I've taken a few tips out of that and put that in this free masterclass as well about driving traffic to your social media as well. So I'll pop that link in. I forgot what it's called. Sal Jade. It's funny when I can't remember my own link. saljade.com/Facebook study groups. Yes, I remembered. And you just scroll down halfway. So www.saljade.com/Facebook study groups. And you click on it and you just scroll down halfway and you'll see reviews, how to get great reviews. But that'll help people too. Thank you, Claire. Thanks so much. I'm so glad that's helped. And as I said, guys, if you need a question asked, so I'm on board working tomorrow, so I'll be able to get back to it tomorrow or later today, and I'll pop back in. And I hope everyone's enjoyed this. And if you are watching it on YouTube, do remember to hit the subscribe so you'll always get these live for you and you won't have to wait. And take yourself.